The wreck in the forest. The night was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that makes even the wind seem afraid to blow. Ray had lived alone in the forest for 3 years now, far from cities, people, and all their noise. His small wooden cabin stood near a deep ravine, surrounded by trees older than any memory. A workshop sat next to it, filled with tools, old parts, and half-broken machines. He used to fix tanks and drones in the army. Now he just fixed whatever helped him survive. He liked the silence. It helped him forget. But tonight, silence was not a gift. At exactly 2:14 a.m., the sky tore open. A roaring sound like thunder mixed with metal screaming echoed across the valley. Ray ran outside, his boots crunching the dry leaves. Above him, a glowing fireball shot across the sky, blue sparks trailing behind it like a dying comet. It wasn't a meteor, it was a ship, and it was crashing. Ray's eyes followed the trail until a massive explosion lit the trees in the distance. The ground shook like an earthquake. Then, silence again. Ray grabbed his flashlight, his coat, and his old sidearm. He didn't know why his hands were shaking. He didn't believe in aliens, but deep down, something in his gut whispered, "Go now. Someone needs help." The wreck wasn't far, maybe 10 minutes by foot. But the forest had changed. Trees were bent. Some were burning. The crash had torn a long path through the earth like a wound. The air smelled of fire and something strange. Not smoke. Something metallic. Alien. Ray reached the edge of the crash site and stopped. His breath caught in his throat. There it was. A ship. Small, sleek, torn open from the side. Blue-purple metal, unlike anything Earth had built. Pieces of glowing tech lay scattered across the dirt. Sparks popped. A faint hum pulsed like a heartbeat. And then, he heard it. A soft whimper, like a baby, followed by a low, weak voice. "Help. Please. My child." Ray moved quickly, heart pounding. He climbed over the broken hull, stepped through hot debris, and saw them. Inside a half-broken chamber, a woman lay on her knees, not human but not monstrous either. She had long silver-blue hair, skin like smooth porcelain lit from within, and glowing lines running across her arms like veins of light. Her eyes, large, violet, and filled with pain, looked up at him. In her arms she held a small child unconscious, glowing faintly. "Please," she whispered. Her voice was cracked. "Fix. My child." She coughed hard. Blood, shimmering, golden, trickled from the side of her lips. "I'll give you anything you want, just save her." Ray knelt beside her, unsure if this was real. But the fear in her eyes and the panic in her trembling hands, that was real. He took the child in his arms carefully. She was warm, too warm, burning up. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, struggling. Something was very wrong. "We need to go," Ray said firmly. "I can't help her here." The alien woman nodded weakly. "Please, don't let her die." Back at the cabin, Ray cleared his workbench. He gently laid the child down. The mother sat nearby, watching, her breathing shallow. Ray had no medical degree, but he had seen wounded soldiers, fixed damaged machines, and rebuilt broken drones from nothing. Maybe this was the same, just more terrifying. He turned on his scanner. The child's body lit up in neon green and orange. Her organs, if that's what they were, looked completely different from humans. No lungs, no liver, no bones. Just strange moving patterns inside a thin, glowing shell. Ray stared at the screen. "How the hell do I fix this?" He looked at the mother. "Her heart glow is dimming," she said. "She won't last more than an hour." Ray gritted his teeth. "All right then." He grabbed his toolkit, a human trying to fix an alien child, using human tech and hope. He had no idea what he was doing, but he couldn't let her die. The mother whispered quietly to herself as Ray worked. He didn't understand her language, but he could feel her desperation. Every time the child twitched, she gasped. Every time Ray touched a glowing part, she winced. At one point, the child stopped breathing. "No, no, no, don't die on me," Ray muttered. He pumped on her tiny chest, tried a light shock using a rewired battery. Nothing. And then, just as he was about to scream in frustration, the child gasped. A single breath. The mother cried softly, not with sound, just tears, falling like glass drops from her shining eyes. Ray sat back, exhausted. "She's stable," he said. "I think." The alien woman crawled to her child, touching her face gently. Then she looked at Ray, and through her pain, she smiled. "I owe you everything," she said. "My life, my child, my soul." Ray shook his head. "Don't owe me anything. Just tell me the truth." She looked at him for a long moment. "My name is Elira. I'm not from your galaxy. I ran from monsters who wanted my child. She is special, and now they will come here." Ray narrowed his eyes. "So, I just fixed a glowing space baby, and now I have monsters coming to my doorstep?" She nodded. Ray sighed. "Of course." She has no time. Left Ray didn't sleep that night. He sat beside the glowing child, eyes locked on the scanner. Her chest rose and fell, slow, uneven, fragile. Every breath was a silent countdown, like a candle burning in the wind. Across the room, the alien mother lay on a soft bedroll he had placed near the heater. She was awake too, her violet eyes never leaving her daughter. Her face was calm now, but it wasn't peace. It was the stillness of someone who had cried all her tears and was now simply waiting. Ray wiped sweat from his forehead. He had used nearly every tool in his shop. Fused wires, modified circuits, even parts from an old hover drone. Still, he knew it wasn't enough. The girl's heart glow, that strange pulsing light in her chest, was still fading. He stood and walked to the mother. "You said I bought her time. How much?" She looked at him, slow and tired. "Less than a rotation. One cycle of your son, maybe less." Ray sat down on the floor beside her. "That's not time. That's a death sentence." Elira closed her eyes. "Your world, it's not ready. You have no tech, no knowledge of her kind. But you kept her alive when even my ship couldn't." Ray didn't know whether to feel proud or terrified. The next morning, he climbed back into the crash site. The wrecked ship hissed and moaned in the early light. He moved fast, cutting through twisted metal, grabbing every usable part. Alien glass, glowing tubes, crystal-like processors. Back at the cabin, he spread it all across his workbench like a puzzle from hell. Elira sat beside her daughter, whispering, something soft in a language that sounded like wind and water. Ray looked at her. "I need help. Anything you know about her biology. What does she need?" Elira's voice shook. "She's called a lumenborn. Her kind are rare. Her body runs on radiant plasma, a kind of living light, but her core is broken. It's leaking. She needs a fusion seal." Ray stared. "Lady, I have duct tape and copper wires. That's the best I've got." Elira stood slowly, limping. "Then you must build something new. Use her ship's core shard. Merge it with your machines. She will die if you don't." Ray clenched his jaw. He wasn't an engineer anymore. He wasn't a hero. But right now, he was all she had. Hours passed. He soldered and rewired, tested and failed, again and again. The cabin grew hotter from overworked tools. Sparks flew. His hands bled, but he didn't stop. Each time the child coughed or twitched, his heart dropped. Elira sat frozen, watching in silent agony. By evening, Ray finally built something that looked possible. A small, glowing patch, alien crystal in the center, human machine wrapped around it. A hybrid pulse injector, he whispered to himself. "I don't know if it'll heal her, or blow us all to hell." He turned to Elira. "There's a chance she doesn't survive this." Elira looked at her daughter, then at Ray. She's already dying. At least give her a chance. Ray nodded. Hold her steady. He placed the device gently over the girl's chest, aligning it with the dimming glow. Elira held her tightly, her hands trembling. Ray took a deep breath and flipped the switch for a moment. Nothing. Then, flash. A burst of light shot through the cabin. The girl arched back, eyes wide, her body lifted slightly from the table, suspended in a strange energy field. Ray stepped back, shielding his eyes. The device began to hum, then sing, low at first, then brighter, sweeter, like a melody from a place not meant for Earth. And then, stillness. The girl collapsed back into her mother's arms. Ray ran to the scanner, heart rate, steady, glow, rising. She's alive, he whispered. She's really alive. Elira fell to her knees, sobbing silently. She kissed her daughter's forehead and then looked at Ray. You did it. You gave her life again. Ray shook his head. No. You kept her alive long enough to matter. I just helped her cross the line. But the victory was short. A loud beep echoed from the scanner. A new signal. Ray looked at the screen. That's not good. Elira stood, eyes wide. It's a beacon. My ship's crash activated a trace. They've found us. Ray turned pale. Who's they? She answered with one word. Hunters. Outside, the wind began to howl, and far above the forest. Something dark moved through the clouds. Alien biology. Human heart night returned, but it didn't bring silence this time. There was a weight in the air now, a hum that Ray could feel in his bones, like something unseen was watching, waiting. Inside the cabin, the girl now slept peacefully. Her tiny chest glowed with a soft, steady light. The hybrid patch pulsed gently over her heart. It worked, for now. Ray sat near the doorway, shotgun in hand, eyes scanning the dark trees. Every rustle made his finger twitch. He wasn't sure if it was nerves or instinct. Behind him, Elira wrapped her daughter in a thin silver blanket made of some soft alien fabric. Her posture was still regal, but her shoulders drooped. She looked more like a mother now than a queen. You need sleep, Ray muttered. I cannot, she replied. Not until I know she's safe. Ray turned slightly. You said they're hunters. What does that mean? Who are they? Elira walked over slowly. She sat on the floor across from him, her long glowing hair falling over one shoulder. Not just soldiers. They are collectors, trackers of bloodlines. My child is different. Ray raised an eyebrow. How different? She carries royal blood and something else. Something forbidden. My mate was not from my kind. Her bloodline is mixed. That makes her dangerous to them. Ray blinked. So, she's like a half-blood alien princess? Elira smiled faintly. To you, maybe. To them, she is a threat that must be erased. A pause fell between them. Only the soft hum of alien tech filled the silence. Ray finally asked, And what about you? Why did you come here? Earth? I had nowhere else to go, she said, looking at the floor. I ran across galaxies. I watched my people fall. I hit on dying planets. But the signal I picked up, it came from here. Ray frowned. What signal? A beacon, a message of hope. From your kind. A ship sent out centuries ago calling for peace. I followed that light. Ray scoffed. That must have been before we learned how to destroy everything. Elira looked at him. Still, you gave me more than any empire ever did. He stayed quiet. Then she added softly, You didn't ask for payment. You didn't look at me like a monster, you just helped. Ray shifted. Her voice, soft, broken, almost human, made something stir in his chest, something old, something buried. Later that night, the girl stirred. She opened her eyes, bright, violet glowing faintly. She looked at Elira and then smiled. Elira rushed to her, tears rising. "My light, you're awake." Ray watched from the corner, arms folded. The girl tried to sit up, but her body was weak. Ray stepped forward. "Easy, kid. You're still running on spare parts." The girl tilted her head, studying him. Then she spoke something in her language. Elira translated with a smile. She said, "You feel warm, like sunlight." Ray scratched his beard awkwardly. "First time anyone's called me that." As dawn approached, Ray and Elira worked side by side. They used alien tech to strengthen the injector. Ray taught her how to use his scanner. She showed him how to read her daughter's pulse through the glow in her skin. They moved like a team, clumsy, but learning. At one point, their hands touched while connecting wires. Both paused. No words. Just a long, quiet moment, then Elira pulled back. "She'll need more energy soon," she said. "Her core will collapse again." "Then I'll find a way," Ray replied, more serious now. She looked at him deeply. "You don't even know us. Why do you care?" Ray didn't answer right away, but then he said, "Because once I failed to save a life, a kid, on a battlefield." Elira's eyes softened. "I ran from it, hid in these woods, told myself I was done. But when I saw your daughter, it felt like that moment again. And this time, I didn't want to run." Suddenly, the lights flickered. The scanner screamed. Ray rushed to check the radar screen. A red dot blinked closer and closer. "They found us." Elira's face darkened. "How long?" she asked. Ray looked at her. 30 minutes, maybe less." Elira grabbed her daughter. "I won't let them take her," she said. Ray loaded his shotgun. "Good," he replied, "because neither will I." Outside, the wind howled louder. In the sky, something metallic pierced through the clouds. And in the dark, the hunt began. The deal is real. Ray had faced enemies before. Human ones, trained men, machines, rogue drones. But this was different. The red dot on the radar was now right above them. Outside, the sky had turned pitch black. No moon. No stars, just clouds, thick and heavy like something monstrous was hiding inside them. And it was. The cabin lights flickered again. A low hum began vibrating through the walls like a distant engine, or a predator growling. Elira stood still, holding her daughter close. Her eyes were fierce. No longer just a mother, now a queen in exile, ready to fight for her child. Ray watched her from across the room. "We have minutes," he said. "They'll land near the crash." Elira nodded. "They will come fast. No warning, no words, just fire." Ray loaded his last shell into the shotgun. "Then we hit back first." But before he could move, Elira suddenly stepped closer. Her voice, low, trembling but certain, spoke. "Human. The offer still stands." Ray blinked. "What?" "If you help me protect my child," she said, eyes glowing faintly, "I will give you what your kind desires most, anything. Power, pleasure, a throne among stars." Ray stared at her. This wasn't flirtation, not even seduction. Her tone was ceremonial, sacred. She wasn't offering her body. She was offering a bond. "I don't want that," he said sharply. "I didn't help your kid for some alien reward." Elira looked hurt but not surprised. "You don't understand," she said softly. "This is not a trade, it's a vow. Among my people, when someone risks their soul to protect another's blood, they are bound, chosen, merged." Ray narrowed his eyes. "You're talking about some kind of alien marriage?" She nodded. Slowly, "I offer this because you've earned it, not because you asked." Ray stepped back, hands on his hips. "Look, I've been broken before, betrayed, left behind. I didn't save your daughter to feel something again. I did it because I couldn't watch another child die." Elira said nothing, but her eyes, they softened again. Not like a queen now, like like a woman who had lost too much. She turned away. Then I will ask nothing, but you should know. If they take her, they will kill us both. And then, your world is next. Ray looked down at the glowing child. She slept quietly, her tiny fingers curled into the silver blanket. Then he looked at Elira again. He sighed. You want to make a vow? He asked. Elira looked back at him. I'll make one too, Ray continued. I swear, no matter what happens tonight, your daughter won't die, and neither will you. Even if I have to fight hell itself. Boom. The forest shook. A blinding light exploded outside. Ray ran to the window. A ship, sleek, dark, shaped like a claw, hovered above the treetops. Red lights scanned the area. Then, a screech, not from speakers, but from the air itself. They're here, Elira whispered. Ray turned to her. Take your daughter and hide beneath the floor hatch. Use the vent tunnel. It leads to the ravine. I will not run. It's not running, he interrupted. It's surviving. I'll hold them off. Elira hesitated, then nodded. I'll come back for you, she said. Ray gave a small, tired smile. You better. As Elira vanished beneath the floor with her child, Ray stood alone in the cabin. He grabbed the alien crystal core from the workshop bench and placed it inside his jacket. If I go down, he muttered. I'm taking something shiny with me. The door blasted open. 3 figures entered, tall, armored, and inhuman. Their faces were masks, their voices, metallic and cold. Surrender the hybrid, or die. Ray raised his shotgun. Let's try option 3. The cabin lit up with fire and shadows, wood splinters, sparks, roars. But Ray didn't fall. He fought. Because tonight, the deal was real, and someone finally gave him a reason worth dying for. Hunters in the night. The cabin was burning. Flames licked the wooden walls. Smoke curled around shattered tools and broken glass. But in the center of it all, Ray stood, face bruised, coat torn, gripping his shotgun like a warrior born from fire. The alien intruders were fast, inhumanly fast. One moved like a shadow. Blink and it was somewhere else. Another had skin like living metal. The third didn't seem to breathe at all. Ray dove behind his overturned workbench as a plasma bolt slammed into the wall above him, blasting a hole straight through the wood. This wasn't a fair fight, but war never was. Ray's mind kicked into overdrive. He had counted their movements, timed their steps. He'd seen their formation. 1 scout, 1 brute, 1 tech. Classic strike team. He reached under the bench, grabbing the alien shard device he'd crafted earlier, the same tech that saved the girl. He didn't know if it would explode or overload, but he didn't care anymore. He wired it into a pulse mine he made from a drone battery, then whispered to it like an old friend. Just one favor. Take at least one of them down. He rolled the device across the floor. The metal-skinned brute stepped forward. Boom! A shockwave ripped through the room. Static electricity cracked in the air. One hunter's cloak fizzled and failed, revealing a body covered in twitching cyberflesh. It screamed not from pain but from fury. Ray popped out from behind the bench and fired. Shotgun shell hit the exposed circuitry in its neck. Sparks flew. The hunter dropped, twitching like a dying insect. 1 down. Outside, Elira crouched in the ravine tunnel, clutching her daughter tight. The child stirred again, eyes fluttering. She whispered something in their native tongue. Elira gently pressed her lips to her forehead. Shh. Stay quiet, little light. But then she froze. She felt it, like a sharp needle in her spine. Someone was near, watching. A cloaked figure, taller than the others, slower but heavier, stepped over the ravine above her. This one didn't come with the others. This one was a tracker, silent, cold, a killer bred for one task, sniffing out royal bloodlines. Its eyes glowed faint red as it scanned the area. Its footsteps made no sound. Elira whispered a silent command to her daughter's blanket, activating the cloaking fabric. The child disappeared from sight. She turned, drew a sharp piece of her ship's shattered wing from her robes, and waited. Back. In the cabin, Ray was out of ammo. The last hunter came at him, plasma blade humming, eyes glowing like twin lasers. Ray ducked, rolled, and grabbed a steel rod from the wreckage. It wasn't a weapon until he made it one. He jammed it into the power core of the generator. The rod lit up like lightning, unstable, dangerous. The hunter swung. Ray blocked with the glowing rod. Sparks flew. The metal screamed, then Ray twisted and drove the sparking rod into the hunter's chest. The alien screeched, convulsed, and collapsed. 2 down, 1 escaped, 1 missing. Ray coughed from smoke, staggering to his knees. The cabin was nearly gone, crumbling around him. But he didn't care. He grabbed a satchel and filled it with the last of the tech, then limped toward the tunnel. He didn't know if Elira was still alive, or the child, or if any of this was real anymore. All he knew was that he made a promise. Elira moved silently through the ravine brush, eyes fixed on the tracker. It hadn't seen her yet. Its attention was fixed on the faint energy signal of the child, still barely traceable even under the cloak. She took a slow breath. In her hand, the jagged alien blade pulsed softly. She whispered a word under her breath, a battle cry of her people, long forgotten. Then she leapt. Ray reached the edge of the ravine just in time to see it. Elira, fierce and glowing, crashing onto the back of the towering tracker. The two wrestled in silence, their movements like dancers of death. The tracker struck with bone blades. Elira dodged, struck back, sliced wires and armor. Ray didn't think. He ran forward, grabbed a shard of alien metal, and joined the fight. Together, human and alien struck as one. Ray slammed the shard into the tracker's spine. Elira sliced, across its throat. It fell, heavy, final, and didn't move again. They stood over the body, panting, blood on their clothes, hers golden, his red. Ray looked at her, chest heaving. "You all right?" Elira nodded. "Are you?" He smiled weakly. "Nope." She laughed, a small, real sound. Then they both turned and saw the child standing behind them, glowing, eyes wide, safe, but far above them. In the dark sky, more lights appeared, dozens, a fleet. Her people or my child. The sky was no longer dark. It was glowing, red, blue, gold. Not from stars, but from ships. Dozens of them, silent and massive, like titans descending from the heavens. Ray stood still, breath frozen. The trees trembled under the pressure of the low-flying vessels. These weren't just hunters. These were royal-class warships, Elira's people. "They found us," Ray said quietly. Elira didn't move. Her glowing eyes stared upward, locked on the lead ship. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Behind them, her daughter stepped closer, holding Ray's hand, glowing faintly, heart still fragile. Then a voice rang out, not through sound, but directly in their minds. "Queen Elira of House Nithar. You have violated royal code. You are ordered to return for judgment. Surrender the child." Ray flinched. "That's inside my head. What the hell is that?" Elira lowered her gaze. Her face was pale now. Not from fear, but from shame. "They are using MindLink," she whispered. "They know I can't resist their command, not fully." Ray turned toward her. "They want your daughter." She nodded. "They see her as a flaw, a broken heir. They'll erase her to purify the bloodline." Ray felt something snap in his chest. "You knew this might happen, that they'd come for her." "Yes." "And you were still going to give her up?" She looked at him sharply. "No, never. But I didn't think they'd find us so soon." A beam of golden light shot down from one of the ships. It didn't burn. It shimmered, like liquid light touching the earth. A figure stepped out, tall, cloaked, radiating power. It was a royal envoy, Elira's own blood cousin. Ray raised his weapon. Let me guess, he's not here to babysit. Elira didn't stop him. The envoy stepped closer and his voice echoed again in their minds. You will surrender the hybrid child. No violence is needed, no suffering, only correction. The girl squeezed Ray's hand. Her eyes were wide, scared, but silent. Elira stepped in front of her. She is not a mistake, she is not broken. The envoy tilted his head. Then you are, Elira. You let your grief blind you. You left the throne. You took a forbidden mate, and now you protect this infection. Ray stepped forward. Say one more word, space royalty, and I'll infect you with my shotgun. The envoy ignored him. Come home, cousin. Save your house. Surrender the child, and we will forget your shame. Silence. Heavy. Painful. Elira turned to look at her daughter. The girl smiled, weak but pure. Then Elira looked at Ray. Everything in her shook. She was raised on law, honor, blood purity, duty to the throne. Everything said, obey. Sacrifice, submit. But in that moment, none of that mattered. Only this small hand in hers. Only this stubborn human standing beside her. Only the tiny heartbeat of a child who had already died once. Elira stood taller. She is my child, she said, voice shaking. And I would burn the stars before I let you touch her. The envoy's face hardened. Then you are no longer royalty. Elira stepped forward. I was never royalty. Not truly. Not until I became a mother. Suddenly, movement. The envoy raised a crystal rod. You've made your choice. But before he could strike, Ray was already moving. Boom! Shotgun blast cracked through the air, slamming into the envoy's chest. The crystal rod shattered. The envoy fell. The sky above reacted, sirens blaring across the ships. Shields activated, engines charged. We need to run, Ray said. Now. Elira grabbed her daughter and turned to him. There's a cave system under the ravine, leads miles west. Ray nodded. I'll cover you. Go. She hesitated. You'll die. Ray shrugged. Maybe. But not before I make them bleed. She looked at him, eyes full of something that wasn't royal or alien, something human. She stepped close, gently touched his face, then kissed his forehead. I will come back for you. That is my vow. She ran. Ray turned, and the night exploded with war. The human she couldn't buy. The forest was no longer a forest. It was fire and metal. Trees crushed under landing gears. Smoke rose in columns. Plasma bolts carved the sky like angry stars. Ray ran low and fast between fallen trunks. Blood on his face, smoke in his lungs, but he didn't stop. He had no plan, no backup, just one job, buy her time. Behind him, in the deep underground cave system, Elira ran barefoot through stone tunnels. Her daughter clung to her neck, eyes wide, chest still glowing, but flickering again. The child whispered, Is he coming with us? Elira didn't answer, because she didn't know. Back above ground, Ray reached the ridge above the ravine. The royal warships were scanning now, hunting not just for Elira, but for him. He took out the alien shard from his jacket, the same crystal he had used to build the injector, the one that carried the child's core signature. He placed it in a decoy box made from old drone tech, wired it to a transmitter, and tossed it down a different path, south, away from the tunnel. A moment later, every ship above turned. They took the bait. He smiled through bleeding teeth. Still got it. But just as he turned to run, boom, a stun blast hit the ground beside him. He flew sideways, rolled hard, groaning. When he opened his eyes, he saw boots. Not alien. Human. Black armor. High-tech rifle. Earth flag on the shoulder. A voice crackled through the comms. Target confirmed. Ray Halden, United Earth Recovery Team. You've made quite the mess, soldier. Ray blinked. Wait, Earth sent someone? The man nodded. Your cabin's emergency beacon triggered during the fight. Took us a while, but we followed the smoke. Another soldier came up behind him. Sir, scans confirm. Non-hostile alien lifeforms underground. One adult, one hybrid. The commander looked at Ray. Want to tell us why you're protecting fugitives from a Class 5 empire? Ray grinned, tired and proud. Because they're not fugitives. They're family. 30 minutes later, Elira emerged from the tunnel, cautiously, ready to fight her way through a planet if she had to. But instead, she saw humans, Earth soldiers, dozens, armed, armored, forming a perimeter, but no guns pointed at her. At the center stood Ray, bandaged, limping, but alive. She froze. He smiled. Told you I'd be here. She dropped the bag, ran to him. They didn't hug. They just stood, foreheads touching, saying everything without saying a word. The child stood beside them, looking at the Earth soldiers. Are they going to take me? Ray knelt beside her. No one's taking you, kid, not anymore. One of the officers stepped forward. We don't harm refugees, especially ones that bring down half an alien fleet. The girl smiled, softly, weakly, but for the first time, freely. 2 days passed. The warships retreated. Not defeated, just shamed. Their queen had chosen Earth. Their bloodline had been saved. By a human. In space politics, that was worse than death. Earth's officials filed the incident as a classified biotech accident. But everyone on that mountain knew what really happened. Ray became a ghost in the system again. Elira became something Earth had never seen before, a living link between galaxies. And the girl? She healed. Slowly, but surely. Her heart glow brightened with each sunrise. One morning, as the sun climbed through the trees, Ray sat on the porch of his rebuilt cabin. Elira sat beside him, sipping tea. The girl played with a flower that shimmered with her touch. Elira leaned in. Do you regret it? Ray looked at her. All I regret is not meeting you sooner. She smiled. You're a strange man. You offered me the stars, he said, but I only ever wanted peace. And now? He reached out, gently, touched her hand. Now, I want a family. Elira looked at the child, then back at him. You already have one. They sat in silence for a while, just watching the girl. No thrones, no ships, no deals, just a new life. Born from war, stitched by love, protected by choice, because in the end, she couldn't buy him, because he had already given her everything for free.